My name is Kayla Kumar, and I am a member of the organizing committee for Measure N. And the first thing I want to do on behalf of the campaign is thank you all so much. I know a lot of people here have volunteered. You've talked to people about the measure. You have knocked doors. You've been at the farmers market. You've donated. You've told a bunch of people about what we're doing. So we just want to thank you for investing your power into what we're doing here through Measure N. So give it up for yourselves, y'all. You've been putting in a lot of good work. Thank you. All right, so I just want to set the table a little bit with why we're here. And I have a feeling I don't need to tell you all this, but we're here because gentrification and skyrocketing housing prices are absolutely gutting our city, and they're gutting us. Regular, average, everyday working people cannot afford to live here. And I think that's because we are the most expensive small city in this country. So, you know, what I want to say is that we are people who are not okay with not enough being done on this issue, right? We're here today because we're willing to do something, and we're willing to dig deep for solutions, and we know that Measure N is one of those solutions. Now, pardon me, Measure N will generate desperately needed funding to develop and create low-income affordable housing for those who need it most, and it will work. It's reasonable, it's fair, and it's effective, and we know that. So I just want to thank you all again for being here, for being a part of this solution. You'll see all around here on the tables, there's a place to donate if you want to dig deep and give what you can to this initiative. If you want to sign up, we have sign-up sheets somewhere. There's one right there. To volunteer, we're going to be continuing to talk to our community about this initiative. And I know I hit a lot of doors the last couple of months for Measure N, and I heard from a lot of people, and I'm telling you, we have the support on our side. If we stick together, we're gonna win this thing. I really mean that. That's right. Give it up. We're gonna win this thing. Okay. That's right. Okay, so with that, I am so excited to introduce you to our speakers for this event. We have 3 absolute powerhouses in our community that support Measure N just as much as you do. We're gonna chat a little bit about that, and so I wanna start us off with Banjo, who is the California and Hawaiian statewide NAACP Vice President and the Executive Director of Santa Cruz Black. My friend Io.
Thank you, Kayla. Good afternoon, everyone. How y'all doing? Hey. So I'm the program director for Santa Cruz Black. Cheryl is the ED. We love her. And I'm super excited to be out here with y'all. So we're out here for a few reasons, right? We're out here to support affordable housing, right? Okay. So it's important for us to know why we need this empty home tax, right? So we understand that a lot of our unhoused populations are unhoused because of the affordability crisis here in Santa Cruz. And we need to close that gap. You know, the average income that is expected to be made by people out here is around like $80,000 for a single person. And that means that, like, if you are not making that money, if you're working, you know, I used to work at Woodstocks as a pizza delivery guy. And the idea that I can make that much money from just one paycheck was a fantasy. And you're gonna, you know, you're basically putting more than 1/3 of your entire income to rent. And that's considered rent burden. So we need to be able to make sure that we understand that if we're going to be living in this inexpensive city, we have to be able to have enough housing that supports the economic diversity of our community. The more diversity we have, the more vibrancy we have. Look, y'all, I'm tired of having to drive all the way to San Jose for some good boba. Okay, we need these good places downtown. We need a good diversity of food downtown, but we can't have people from diverse backgrounds here in Santa Cruz if we're not out here making sure that they're able to live and survive off of their rent, right? So we need to think about how we are strategic in making sure that these housings are affordable for all of our income levels. And, you know, when you think about the racial wealth gap here in Santa Cruz, right, we understand that a lot of times we understand that wealth, the number one way to build wealth is through housing. And if you don't allow for communities to participate in housing, wealth building programs, they're not able to make the income that they need to be able to survive, right? And they're not going to pass down that generational wealth to their communities. We know that in 1862, the Homestead Act that was passed in America was able to provide housing support for all of our communities except for the black community and other black and brown communities and everyone else that weren't white. So really just the white community. And that we know that that shows up now when we think about why there's only less than 1% black people in Santa Cruz, why the home ownership rates are so low in Santa Cruz. We understand that it's because of these historical wealth building programs that weren't available to everybody. So this empty home tax is a way to address that injustice in the past. It's a way to think about how we envision a future that is inclusive for all of us. It's a way to build solutions around with the entire community and let it be community driven. We understand that if we're going to make sure that we have more diversity, we have to have housing that matches that diverse economic interest. Period. So it's important that when we're out here, talking about the importance of the empty home tax, we are bringing all of these different factors, all of the past into the present, and we're allowing for us to understand that we're trying to do something about the housing issue. The other side will say, oh, well, no, we don't like this because of this, we don't like this because of that. At the end of the day, we're doing something. We're trying something. We're being visionary. We're trying and we're taking a risk. And you know what? We cannot change anything until we are uncomfortable. We have to be uncomfortable and take risk for anything to change, So I think that we are trying to open this new market for affordable housing where we're actually increasing funds. We're going to be taxing homes that are empty, and it's pretty fair. It's like 120 days. If it's not 120 days, then you can't. Then it's going to be taxed, and so that's going to be good because that way, if you're vacant, then you are naturally supporting affordable housing, and now you become an affordable housing warrior because you are vacant. So you finally are. Everyone now gets a chance to do something about the problem. We are decentralizing the opportunity to make a difference. And that's what this tax is about. So, when people ask you, what can I do to get involved? Hey, you can dance. Hey. And you can also make, I don't know if that was cute, but I love it. You can dance, you can have fun, you can be fun with them, but what you tell them is, this tax is necessary for making a difference, for building more affordable housing, and for making sure that all of our families and communities, all of our teachers, the professors that work at UCSC that make $65,000, which is still less than the median income to afford rent here, all of our nurses that are being left out because they can't afford to live here. So now Dominican Hospital is having trouble finding all these nurses. When you talk to people about why we're supporting this so we can bring in more people and allow them to survive and thrive in this community. And with that, I love you all, and we have so much work to do. We have so much work to do on this effort, on this issue, so make sure you come out, you sign up for all the lists, you volunteer, you get involved. And again, if you need anything, make sure to stop by and get some boba. All right, love y'all.
Absolutely beautiful. Thank you, Io. Give it up. All right, next up, I am very happy to present Sibley Simon, who is a board member of Housing Santa Cruz County. Give it up for Sibley, please.
Thank you. People usually find me energetic, but after that, I might be calming things down a little bit. So it's really exciting to be here. I think the main thing to do as we go out and talk about this is keep the message simple, of course. Most unaffordable city in the country, desperately need affordable housing for all income levels, especially the majority of workers who cannot, people who work in our community who cannot afford housing here. That's the simple message. This is a tax on empty homes, so when someone has a vacation home that's totally empty, that's taking a house off the market so they contribute to creating more affordable housing. That's the message. What I want to say here is sometimes people want to gauge at the next level on the financial picture of this. And I find myself talking to people a lot about this. And there's 2 points that come up. You don't want to get way down in the details, but there's 2 points that come up that people who like to think about, well, what is this really going to achieve? Is it going to achieve much? Then there's 2 points that I make. First of all, yeah, if you look at the number, okay, this is gonna create some money for affordable housing. Housing is expensive to build, so if you just look at how much money we may get out of this tax, it's like it's not gonna build huge apartment buildings just with those dollars. But that's not what it's about. The fact is, affordable housing is generally built with a lot of money from the state government, from the federal government, and also from local sources. And you have to have local sources in the picture. They can be a very small percentage of the total amount it takes to build an affordable housing project. 60 units, 100 units. The local money is a small percentage, a few percent. But if you don't have that, you can't compete and get the state money and the federal money. So if you might spend $50 million building an apartment building, but if you don't have $1 million from the local government, you can't get the other 49. So, and the state government of California, seeing this as an incredible statewide problem, is putting more and more money in recent years into affordable housing and is looking for ways to double, to triple, to even multiply by 10 the amount of money our state is putting into creating affordable housing. Now, we are all going to pay for that. We do pay for it now. The billions of dollars, a couple billion a year, with a lot of different programs put in by California into affordable housing. We need way more than that. But we pay for it in taxes, in our part of our sales tax, part of our property tax, et cetera, et cetera. Great. The problem is if we don't also get that couple percent of local source, we won't get the benefit of what we're paying for. We won't get our fair share in the least affordable city in the country. So to get that 95, 98% that we're already paying for in our federal income taxes, our state income taxes, business taxes, etc., we have to have some local source that comes year after year. In the last few years, our city departments have done a good job of cobbling together one-time funding, a little bit from here or there, to start a couple of affordable housing projects in Santa Cruz. But absolutely, cities and counties across California are all working to get ongoing year after year sources, a steady stream. It can be just a bit every year, but that gets leveraged in that way. And when people talk about, well, I don't know, there's different estimates of how much this is going to create, I say, fine. I took numbers from the opposition campaign that I saw that maybe there's as little as a couple hundred units in Santa Cruz that would pay this. So there might be a lot more, which would be great. But if there's only a couple hundred, and I ran the numbers of Housing Santa Cruz County, other people spent a bunch of time on it when we were endorsing this measure, looking at the numbers, and the low end of the range we felt like is net of expenses to run this, $500,000 a year. Now we all hope, it's $2 million a year, but kind of worst, I see it as worst case. And I look at worst case when we're going to have a big program like this. Okay, $500,000 a year. I want to share the story that we're a block away from Housing Matters, the campus that partners with individuals and families to get them help them get out of homelessness. And my work is to try to develop affordable housing. That's what I work on all the time. And I work on new ways to fund it. And so my nonprofit, New Way Homes, that's what we do. And we looked over there and partnered with Housing Matters and spent 6 years trying to figure out how do we build a big apartment building in that campus that's permanent supportive housing. So affordable housing is lots of folks, lots of income range, etc. But this project in particular for people who have been chronically homeless, who need to be in a location with a health clinic, with other services, right? So the folks who need the most help permanently get into housing. We're going to build that building. I hope it gets built next year. It's really exciting. But it took us about 6 years to get it planned and approved by the city of Santa Cruz and work out all the tricky details. Well, that cost us less than $500,000. Okay, it sounds like a lot. But the point is, it costs less than $500,000 to get that totally entitled and approved by the city. And you can't go raise other money until you get that done. So they're like, you got to somehow pay for that before you're at the starting line to put together, a $40-50 million apartment building project. And so we could pay for that every year. And the worst case scenario, how to measure N, that's really exciting to me as someone who tries to build affordable housing. Like, what if one of those got started every year in Santa Cruz for teachers, and for lower income workers and for, et cetera. I mean, that's just really exciting. So to me, that adds up. And then the second thing I'll say, I think that's the main thing I talk about is like, look, we're already paying for most of this. We got to do our share. And then people also talk about, I'm not sure how much it's going to cost and stuff. And I think we just have to stay really simple and say, look, other cities have done this. We've seen it work. We have to have some tax, that provide this. There might be other ways to do it as well, but this is a really good one. And I get back to the fact that like we're a tourist town, more and more, there's been an increase in empty homes, right? and we did a good job of limiting how many Airbnbs there are. It's fine that there's Airbnbs. That's good for our tourist town too, but we limited it so we don't get all our housing taken up by that, right? And there has to be rules around that, and we need rules around this too. And so I think that we're disproportionately affected. This will produce that money, and I think this program can be efficiently administered. You're going to hear about that. Oh, it's going to cost too much to run. Absolutely. You know, I've looked into it, and I think we just need to say, look, we know other places can do it. It's going to produce money, and that's the end of the message. So that's what I wanted to share. I'm really excited about it, and let's spread the word.
All right. That's some facts right there. My goodness. All right, and now it's time for our last speaker for the launch party. He is a current city council member, and if we're lucky, the next supervisor of District 3, Council Member Justin Cummings.
My name's Justin Cummings. As it was mentioned, I'm currently on the Santa Cruz City Council. This is my last year. I was also mayor of Santa Cruz in 2020. I'm running for 3rd District County Supervisor. And to give you a little bit of background on my education, I've got 2 bachelors, one's in biology, one's in Spanish. I earned a PhD in ecology and evolutionary biology from UCSC. I've worked in this town creating nonprofits that focus on increasing diversity in STEM, and I can't afford to live here.
Yeah.
So, you know, when we think about why are we encouraging, for example, people to go get higher education, why should they work so hard, you know, and at the end of the day, you find yourself not being able to afford in the community where you're from, or where you've settled in and raised your children, or where you've committed a lot of your time. It's a big problem.
Yeah.
I was just having breakfast with a friend of mine this morning. He's 44, makes about $80,000 a year. His lease is under his brother's name, and his brother's going to move in with his girlfriend. He said, if I can't take over this lease at the same rate that I'm paying, I'm probably going to have to move. And he's lived here his entire life. We're consistently hearing that over and over again. The people can't afford to live here. Just to give you some examples, when I talk with city and county workers, I hear from them that there are serious issues around retention in our public sector. And these are the people who pick up your trash, who treat your water, who make sure that the brown stuff goes to the right place where it can get treated, and they can't afford to live here. The people who pave our roads can't afford to live here. And we're finally at a point where enough is enough. We're the 2nd most expensive rental county in the entire country. That's a problem. So we're at this point where we truly need people in leadership and in positions who are actually going to start working on these issues. Sandy Brown and I are in the minority on the Santa Cruz City Council, and we've tried to have conversations, and we've tried to move the needle on this issue, but we don't have the political will right now, which is why this election is so important. It's so important that we get progressive people into positions of leadership and decision making so that they can help us address these issues. Because the reason why we're here today is because nothing has happened, and it took the people once again to try to stand up and get something on the ballot so we can actually start moving the needle. In 2018, and it gives me chills to see everyone here again and that we're doing this, because in 2017, I was upset with what was happening, seeing my friends have to leave. I went to the Civic Center for an affordable housing presentation, and some folks came up to me and they said, hey, do you want to get on our email list for rent control? I said, sure. And I started showing up to the meetings. And then I ended up going out and being one of the highest signature gatherers to get that put on the ballot. And then someone asked me, actually, Chris Crone, where is he? Is he still here?
He left.
Oh, he left. Well, Chris Crone asked me, along with Nora Hockman and a few others, would you consider running for city council? I didn't have any experience, but I thought I'll just give it a shot. And I ended up being the highest vote getter in that year. And rent control failed, but we still are continuing to get progressive people elected. And I just mention that because given that we haven't done anything, I know people have been talking about an empty home tax. I'd even had people who were opposing rent control who said, yeah, that'd be actually pretty good. But would anyone actually take action? No. And so now we're here today. And now we're going to try to get people to vote for this, and we're going to try to get this to win. Why? Because no one else will do anything, and someone's got to do something. And that's all of you. That's all of you. So I just want to say I'm so proud of all of you for the work you've done. because no one else is doing anything. And so the way I see the empty home tax is twofold. It'll accomplish two things. One, if you're gonna buy a house in Santa Cruz for $1.6 or $2 million and let it sit empty all year for more than 2/3 of the year, you likely have some kind of funds to be able to put into us building more affordable housing because you've taken that unit off our market. So either people will pay into that tax, or it will encourage people to actually use their homes that they have here. And that actually is a good thing too, because if people are coming here and utilizing their second homes, they're paying into our sales tax. They're contributing to our community. They're buying from our restaurants and going to our stores. So that's another way that we can generate revenue off the empty home tax. And lastly, when we talk about trying to build affordable housing in this community, there's always this, we don't have enough money. We don't have the money. And so, if that's the case, we have to figure out more ways to bring in revenue. And is it perfect? No, but it's something. It's more than nothing. And that's why I'm standing behind the empty home tax, because we have to do something. And the people for the past 40, 50 years of no action have gotten us to this point today where teachers, public safety workers, nurses, the people who are going to care for all of us in our community can't afford to live here. And enough's enough. And so that's going to take a lot of folks getting out walking and knocking on doors. It's going to take you talking to your friends and trying to educate them on this, and really, really trying to get the point across that we have to do something because it's too late. So I want to thank you all, and I hope you all can get out, get your friends motivated, and that we can see this get across the ballot. And if it doesn't, we need to get people in office who are going to do something. So make sure that you're paying attention to who's on your ballot and electing progressive people, because right now, more than ever, we need to make this a community where everyone can live. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for having me, and let's do this. Tuesday at the Santa Cruz City Council meeting, there's going to be an item on our agenda where the city is going to present its financial analysis of the empty home tax. So I encourage all of you to pay attention to that. Show up to the meeting, because you're going to hear what the city is going to be spreading out there, and we really need to hear from you all. We need you all to show up and to comment, but it's just something that, to let you know there's going to be a lot that's going to be presented at that meeting, and you all need to know what your opposition is looking like.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Cummings. Oh, all right, friends, do you feel more informed? Do you feel more energized? Do you know that we can do this?
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah? All right, thank you again. You are all incredibly powerful people, beautiful people. You have a big heart. You want what's best for our community. I want you to know that, and we see that, and that's powering this campaign. And like everybody said, no matter what, we're going to run this thing across the finish line, and we're going to win.
Yes, we are.
That's what's up.